Podcast. I apologise. I actually thought yesterday was Monday, which is why this didn't come out. I didn't even tell anyone. I'm so sorry. Yesterday got on top of me a little bit, and I'll tell you why shortly. The past week has been a little bit of a mixed bag. I've been feeling sort of a little bit flat, a little overwhelmed, undermotivated. You know, it's just one of those weeks where everything is technically kind of fine, but actually also not. I have no Airbnb guests for once in my life, which also feels like an absolute shift in my personality at this point. I don't really know what to do with myself. I feel like my fight or flight response has gone in the toilet. I had a weird hot water cylinder situation which was keeping things interesting yesterday. And somehow, in the middle of all this in the past week, my brother casually brought a boat and decided I should inherit that when he passes, whenever that will be. Well, that's where I'm at. And let's get into it. It's going to be a bit weird. Last week wasn't all chaos. I'm being a little bit dramatic. I had a long weekend of doing absolutely nothing, which is exactly what I needed. In saying that, I had plans. They just didn't really come to fruition. I was meant to go up the west coast of New Zealand to see a family friend of ours who lost her husband at the start of the year. However, it kind of felt a little bit heavy and we decided not to do that just because at the moment the grief is still very heavy and there will be a right time. There may never be a right time, but in saying that, we will be up there at some point. However, not going meant I had 3 days free, which was just what I needed. I actually did some really great life admin. It's weird. It's like you either go, or you catch up on little projects that you need to get done and then you're like, well, shit, that's so much better in a way. I don't know. Things have just been go. I am 25 or something days into this 75 medium, which has been great. But I tell you, you go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. And if you've ever done one of these challenges, it's really easy to, I suppose, bomb out because you get kind of in your head a little bit about how you feel so good. You eat really well, you do healthy things, and then you think, well, shit, how come I can't keep this up in everyday life? Why does it always have to be like a schedule or a routine or something? And I mean, life happens. It's accountability. You have to keep, ticking the boxes, I suppose. And so last week I was a little overwhelmed, undermotivated. I was kind of like, okay, this is fine. I actually want to do this challenge. But at the same time, like at the end of it, will I even be going to Thailand considering what's happening in the world? There was this immense heaviness. Like people are just exhausted. The stupid fuel prices, the flow-on effect financially was just, I don't know. It started playing a big part of like heaviness in my life. And I have obviously got on social media, more so Facebook than anything, a whole bunch of Thailand Facebook groups. And the amount of people that were stuck and they were whinging and they were like, I can't get home. And I was thinking, that's not going to be me. Fingers crossed. So yeah, I just kind of, started feeling a little bit over it. Like I just wanted to stop the world and just crawl into a duvet, eat some ice cream, and just not be doing anything of what I was doing lately. And it's easy. That's what you kind of should feel. It's like you're obviously feeling what the world effects are having, and then you just, I don't know, it's weird. It's so weird. So anyway, come to Friday night, and I met this 18-year-old. I know, don't gasp. It's normal. I didn't do anything with this 18-year-old, trust me. But the story behind this is quite wild because I don't know, it was weird. I actually was ready to go home. I'd done my dash. Things were wrapping up. I was a little bit bored. A friend of mine and myself went $20 each in the pokies. We won $600. It was a whole thing. Anyway, there was this young bloke sitting next to me who had cut his own bowl cut. And I was like, oh my gosh, how old are you? And he says, I'm 18. I was like, did you cut your hair? And he says, yeah. I don't know if it's these kids these days and they think that, is it cool to cut your own hair? Are you saving money? I don't know. I wasn't taking a dig or anything. I just thought, well, that could be cleaned up a little bit. Anyway, he was a little bit proud of himself because he had this 26-year-old girlfriend from Brazil. And I thought, this has got to be a joke. This has got to be, not in a negative way. But I went to my brother's house on Saturday. I told him the story and he was like, 100% Danny, the girlfriend that he thinks he's talking to on a bloody video call is 100% AI and it's probably some bloke in some small town and he's sitting there in his undies and he's balding. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about this at the time. He showed me a picture of this chick and I thought, you can do better. But I didn't say it. I was just thinking, what on earth made him reach out, or how did he even find this Brazilian girl? Like, his mother hates the fact that he's dating a 26-year-old, which was crazy. My whole thing is, and I keep relaying this to him, you're 18. You deserve love and affection, and you deserve to have physical touch. I don't want you, like, touching your pork swords through a video screen. Like, no, that's not how this goes. You deserve more than this. And in hindsight, he's working really hard to get to Brazil, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what is happening? I watched TLC's 90 Day Fiancé. I love it. It's my guilty pleasure. So I'm thinking, this has got red flag written all over it. Like, I'm up the back here just waving my red flag, and I'm thinking, oh, and then his friend turns up, and his friend's got a perm, and I'm thinking, hey, have you guys got sisters that are in the hairdressing business and they're learning how to cut hair or, perm hair or something? What's going on? I've had a couple of wines. Obviously, I start being a little bit cheeky. I don't know. It was just snowballing at this point. And anyway, he went to leave and he was like, I've really enjoyed my chat with you, Dani. And I thought, well, so you bloody should. And I want you to go home and think about what you're doing, because I just think you deserve more. And he was like, can I come to your home? And I was like, no, bloody no. And I said to him, I'm old enough to be your mother. And he was like, are you joking? And I said, how old do you think I am? He thought I was early 30s, which still is bad. Like, this kid, I tell you, he's got a bit of a fetish for older women is what I'm thinking. I don't know, you guys. It was a weird interaction. I'm so glad that, he left when he did, because the conversation was pretty deep and his mate's perm was freaking me out. So, I don't know. Anyway, off I toddled my winnings, and I woke up Saturday morning and I thought, I'm going to shout my mum to some lunch. But more so, I want to go somewhere that's kind of a little bit fun, have a bit of an experience. So I started looking on First Table. And if you guys aren't familiar with First Table, it's this really great website where if you get the first table booking for the day, for lunch or dinner, you get half price food. I was kind of trying to be a little bit more elaborate than what I was, but I had a restaurant in mind simply because it was an old favourite of ours from way back in the day. One that we haven't been to for a very long time. It actually had a refurbishment, so it wasn't the same, which is why I wanted to take my mum. Anyway, she couldn't pull herself together in time. She was busy doing jobs. She's a mum. She's always pottering around. I managed to get over to Queenstown. I was starving. I was like, oh my God. But we missed the stupid reservation time slot to make the booking because life. Anyway, we decided to go for a walk around Queenstown to just check in and see. We've got a lot of guests arriving in April that we want to obviously show around for happy hours and sunset drinks and all those kinds of things. So we were perusing the menus of some of these establishments. Obviously, a lot's changed since I used to piss up in Queenstown. But anyway, we went to the market. That was a whole experience in itself. People are really arty and crafty in Queenstown. If you ever get the opportunity to walk around at the Saturday market in Queenstown, it's bloody cool. Anyway, we get to obviously starting to think about ourselves and thinking, we should actually get some lunch. It's like 1 o'clock. And I thought, well, I've got an idea. Do you want to go to our old stomping ground, which is Surreal Bar, now known as Local? We've missed the First Table, but we can also just have some tapas plates, couple of cocktails, go on the rooftop. Mum was all for it, and she knows, this is a cool establishment. So anyway, we go up the stairs, and lo and behold, I walk in the door, and it's some friends from 15 years ago, 15 years ago easily, were sitting on the roof. They were so excited, they jumped for joy. Oh my God, Dani's here. These are the type of bartender friends that I had when I was early 20s, who, we didn't have social media back then that early, so I don't know why, but I never really had them on socials. Anyway, they said, join us. So I said, yep, my mum's here, is that okay? They said, yep, totally fine, love her. So we had a wee couple of plates, some calamari, some karaage chicken, some lamb sliders, hot chips, couple of cocktails, some wine. It was just such a vibe. I got sunburnt, whole thing. I always get sunburnt. I can just never get that right. Anyway, I go to pay, and I'm downstairs with the bartender, and I'm like, can I get my table upstairs, please? And he says, I'm not taking your card. And I said, why not? He says, we actually look after the bartenders here in Queenstown. I says, I know you bloody do. I've been drinking here for 15 years. He says, well, I haven't seen you around. I said, I'm not a bartender. I actually don't have the capacity to be a bartender. I want to own a bar, but I'm not going to be the server. Anyway, he was like, I know, you're sitting with the boys. I said, yep. I used to be one of those little party animals back in the day, and I am just catching up with them now. He says, I'm not taking your card. I'm not even going to take payment or anything. And I said, it's really humbling to know 10, 15 years later, the bartenders are still looking after the bartenders here in Queenstown. I don't want to get anyone in trouble, whatever. But it was just like, that was exactly how it was back when I used to drink in town. You'd go there, and even though I wasn't a bartender, I worked for Vodafone back then, the staff would look after us because we had eyes and ears on the ground when it came to new phones and different ways of getting internet hooked up at houses and businesses. It was like this weird flow and effect. And this guy who was at this establishment, I've never met in my life. He could have literally just got off a plane and started, pouring beers. It was nothing to him. He was like, nah, you're sitting with our local friends. They look after us. We'll look after you. And I thought, wow, I just wanted to give an applause. And I was like, my God. And I walked out with my mum and I said, it's still the same. It's actually still the same. It's such a shame that I don't get to drink in Queenstown as often anymore. I probably could. I need to pull my ass together to actually do this. But it's just nice to know. So we are organising, obviously, lots of friends coming in the next couple of weeks. And it's just going to be one of those, running around town situations, which I'm very excited for. I do love a good pub crawl around Queenstown, especially one that's not commercialised, like the ones that the businesses do, ones that just I create from looking at the gig guide at the Lakes Weekly Bulletin. But there's a lot of opportunity in Queenstown. It's like bars have popped up and there's been renamings and different establishments. I don't know. There's actually a happy hour there. I think it's the Exchange Bar, and it goes from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. I said, look, back in my day, God, I sound really old saying that. Back in my day, happy hour was like 1 or 2 hours, not bloody 6. So I was very excited. I said, I don't even care. We don't even have to get there that early. It's still going to be happy hour until 9 bloody p.m. Anyway, it was very, very cool. So that rooftop was an absolute fluke, but a really good one. It was weird to think that I was 10 years out of Vodafone and then I was bumping into old friends like that. And they were just so surprised. They said, oh, I remember when you jumped off that jetty, Dani, when you finished up at Voda. I said, yeah, 10 years ago. It's just wild. Actually, I was reading a couple of my fan mail questions, and I had a question that said, why did I leave Vodafone? Do you know what? There actually wasn't a reason. My mum moved to Australia. She was living in Mackay, and she'd recently moved to Sydney, and I decided my mum is in Australia. I need to go and make the most of this. So I booked a one-way in March, I think it was 2014, 2015. Put the whole house into storage. Thought my brother would be okay with the fact his mum and his sister would be in another country, and I jumped on a plane and went. It was really a lot. Like, now I look back at it, I'm like, whoa, what was I thinking? But it was the best choice. The flow-on effect, obviously, when we all worked together in Vodafone Beach Street, we weren't as consultants climbing over each other for assistant manager and store manager roles. We simply were just like happy to be consultants and race against each other with targets and enjoy all the prizes and things that came with working with such big businesses such as Apple and Sony. And it was really enjoyable. But moving to Sydney and knowing that there was multiple telecommunication stores, there was a lot of opportunity, a lot of money to be earned. I fell into a store manager role quite quickly with the big store in George Street in Sydney, the Optus one, which I don't think is still there. It was opposite Wynyard train station. And I really enjoyed myself there for the most part, to be honest. And that was really great. I felt like I'd achieved something. It wasn't until I took that job up to Brisbane. I don't know if I've told you guys the story. I actually worked in a shopping centre in Brisbane that I realised that my area manager at the time was embezzling iPhones. There's something about, I'm quite a good character watcher. Like, I always notice weird things about people. And so I caught him out and I thought, that's not right. And so I reported him. He tried to push me out of the business, which is kind of where I ended up in insurance, where I am now, which is like a weird side quest of something different. I'm kind of with insurance, kind of not. But in saying that, like, everything happens for a reason. I look back at that whole thing and I'm like, if it wasn't for the fact that I had learnt the ways for so many years, I wouldn't have probably noticed that he was being naughty. And I don't really know how long he had been naughty, but he knew that I knew and he started pushing me out of the business. But in saying that, I am where I am today because I am kind of like that, and I do notice weird things about people, and I don't know. It's funny to think I have a podcast and yet I have a really weird actual 9-to-5 job. So anyway. So yeah, that's why I left Vodafone. There's not really a story behind it. I just decided enough was enough time. That was enough time for me to be working in Queenstown. I actually was quite unhealthy, to be fair. To make shit worse, we had gym memberships that were to a gym that was above World Bar in Shotover Street. So World Bar was the middle layer and the gym was above World Bar. We literally had every intention every afternoon to go to the gym. We always ended up at damn World Bar. So I don't know. I am who I am. Whatever. So the brother buys a boat and then he puts it in the will to go to me if something happens to him. I only found this out on Sunday. I was like, is he joking? And then I said to him, okay, well, the boat's got no name on it, so can I name it? He says, yeah. It's a huge responsibility. And I'm thinking, how can I be creative? I am actually taking ideas, you guys. If you have any boat naming suggestions, let me know in the comments on Spotify. I want it to be quite fun, not so much weird. So I started looking into a few things, and then I'm actually going to go to a sign writer and get it all professionally done. But anyway, it works. It's a really cool boat. I need a tow bar on my actual primary vehicle so that I can tow the boat around and go and put it in the lake where I want to. It's just such a weird thing. I swear to God, my family makes no sense. Absolutely none. So my mum's here at the moment. It's quite a funny thing. I was obviously over in Queenstown on the Saturday, came home, went to bed. Nothing was crazy. Sunday I woke up and the water in the tap was lukewarm. And I thought, that's weird. But obviously, I didn't really notice it too much. I don't know if it's because I don't really have hot showers, or lately I've been getting my body ready for the hot temperatures of Thailand and having cold showers. I've been teaching myself to stand in cold water more than anything. So anyway, it was fine. Sunday was whatever. Monday rolls around and I'm like, it's not got any better. It's still bloody lukewarm, if not cold. So I rang Mum and she was like, go and check the switchboard. And sure enough, the switchboard had flicked off. And I thought, okay, I'll turn it back on. My brother rings a couple of hours later and he says, that's not right. It shouldn't do that. And I'm thinking, what do you mean? So anyway, Monday rolls around and Tuesday, yesterday. And I start ringing around for plumbers. I'm like, hot water cylinder, plumber, whatever. No, I got it wrong. Well, actually, I think ChatGPT got it wrong because we needed an electrician. Basically, the element had blown and we needed to empty out 280 litres of water onto the lawn and then get a new element, which is fine. We did it. But by the time all this had happened, I thought, oh my God, it's Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Yeah. And I hadn't recorded the podcast. I hadn't even thought about the podcast. So I do apologise. Yesterday, it actually slipped my mind and all of a sudden I thought it was Monday and it wasn't. I think I've just been because I have no Airbnbs, I'm not really paying attention as much as I should. I'm just kind of like coasting along, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. I was really hot and bothered. We've had some really hot autumn days here in Cromwell and I'm just sick of it. I'm like, can it rain? But more to the point, that's exactly what happened. I was just tired, and then I hit the hay at 8:30 last night with every intention this morning to be up super early to record this for you guys. And then I fell asleep and I was like, why am I like this? So anyway, I am fine. I'm obviously just going through the motions. I went to the gym. I've sorted myself out. I've had a really hearty breakfast. It's just one of those things. You become very complacent when you do challenges like this where you just think, why can I not be like this all the time? But then there's days where you're just like, I really can't maintain this. It's easy just to bomb out, whatever. March has been really good though. I think with this whole routine and actually getting wholesome food into me, I've been hyper-focused lately on these random chopped ingredient wraps. And I know that sounds really weird, but basically you put all the ingredients on a chopping board. I've been having grilled chicken, olives, red onion, feta, cottage cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, and then a dressing. You chop it all up so it's super fine and you throw it in a wrap. And it's the most yummiest thing. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. Maybe it's because every mouthful you basically get all the flavours, whatever. But I feel like I'm getting my 5+ a day, which in conjunction with the fruit that I've been eating, because we have heaps of stone fruit that's ripe at the moment, peaches, nectarines, apricots. Oh, it's just working wonders for me. My skin feels really good. I just don't have any breakouts. I'm actually conditioning my body with these really wholesome foods. Been having roasts more than anything. I'm not really having dinners where it's lots of different foods. I'm actually having meals where you pull everything together. I'm really enjoying different curries, things in the slow cooker. It's been a really good month. I'm still on the whole enjoying pumpkin seeds and sunflower kernels and bloody walnuts and Celtic salt and the vibration plate and just it's one of those compounded things where it's just lots of different things. It doesn't make sense, but it is nice. I don't know. I'm actually wanting to try this really strange toast thing, which involves anchovies. Now, I know that might sound really disgusting, and we're still on the whole bandwagon of the sardine thing, but basically you get a really crispy piece of bread, like sourdough, ciabatta, Vogels, whatever. Toast it till it's within an inch of its life. You then have to smother on it, like, not the thinnest slice of butter. Basically, the picture kind of looked like a piece of cheese. So it's not a thin slice of butter, but I don't know how this works. You actually leave the toast to cool down so that the butter doesn't melt completely. And then across those, like in a crisscross formation, because anchovies are quite small, you just kind of layer these anchovies. I don't know how this or why it works, but the stupid video had me salivating. I was like, what is going on? Why do I need this? And then I started talking about it more, and everyone was like, well, maybe you're just on a fish bender at the moment with omega-3s, and I don't know, all those. Nothing makes sense at the moment. I'm just enjoying random things. So I am yet to try it, but I really hope that it's as delicious as it looks. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe in the next podcast I'll tell you. But anyway, so we are coming to the end of this wholesome food month. It's been wonderful. April, however, is going in the bin. I have guests coming out my eyeballs. Lots of people visiting the area, lots of events. I've got Warbirds over Wanaka in 2 weeks' time, which I'm so excited as an aviation enthusiast that I am. I have a friend coming from Australia to visit me for the V8s in Christchurch. I'm actually going to fill the car up and not even look at the price of the petrol at the time, because it's in like 3 weeks' time, and I'm like, it is what it is. We can't change it, whatever. I'm going to go see my uncle who's poorly at the moment. Get those love and hugs in, because he is terminal, and that's a bit sad. And then my mum's got her bestie here for her 60th birthday. My mum's friend is turning 60, so we're going to do a lot of elaborate dinners and wine tours. That's not to say I won't do that with my friend who's visiting, of course. I mean, that goes hand in hand. But yeah, I actually get to show off some skills and show my mum's friend who's from Melbourne just what I'm like as a tour guide, which, if you know, you know, but I do love a good glass of wine, and I've picked out my favourite wineries to take all these people. And I'm actually sitting here looking at the Central Otago wine map. It's on the right of me. Mum started marking things up. I'm like, oh, here we go. It's happening. So, yeah, and then once we get through April, I get to decide if I'm actually going to step foot on this plane and do my adventure. But I'm not really too worried. I just don't know what's going to be happening in the next 4 weeks. So I'm really happy that April's a little bit mad, because it just means that there's just going to be a lot. I can just focus on that and just not really bother about things, where I think March was a little bit lower. It was just, I get to focus on me, and it was great. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. But yeah, I started spiraling a little bit near the end, didn't I? Anyway, all right, I think that's a good place to wrap things up for today. If anything, I want you all to remember that this past week for me has been a reminder that not every week needs to be productive or life-changing. Sometimes it simply is about getting through, even if you take the wins where you can, and allow myself to slow down when I needed it. I'm super happy I didn't end up going up the West Coast, just because even though I wanted to, it was nice just to stay home, even though the hot water cylinder crapped itself. Between the chaos of adult life, some hot water cylinder drama, some unexpected boat inheritance, and some shit in between, there were still some really good moments. And I think that's kind of the point, you guys. Anyway, I was just going to say, I probably always look back on these decisions like leaving Vodafone as one of those turning career points, but I don't know. It just made me who I am today. Okie dokie. Thanks for listening to the Dani Dots Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, send it to a friend who's also just trying to keep it together this week. It's a pleasant distraction. And remember, not everything makes sense, but somehow it might just all work out. I'll see you next Tuesday. I promise I will do a pod on Tuesday. I apologise. But anyway, take care for now, and I'll see you next week. Bye.